She left thinking she was upgrading, thought the grass was greener, believed she deserved better. Now you're sitting in the wreckage wondering how to make her see what she threw away. Today I'm revealing the psychological blueprint that makes an ex-wife realise she lost the best man she'll ever have, not through begging, convincing or proving, but through a transformation so profound she'll question her entire decision to leave. But first, understand this fundamental truth. The man she left no longer exists. He died the moment she walked out. Whether you realise it or not, that version of you, the one who got comfortable, who stopped growing, who she could predict down to your Thursday night routine, that man is gone. The question isn't whether you'll change. It's whether you'll become someone she regrets losing, or someone she was right to leave. The psychology of regret after separation operates on a simple principle. People don't regret losing what they expected to lose. They regret losing what surprises them. Right now, she expects you to be destroyed, desperate, begging for reconciliation. She expects decline. Give her evolution instead, and watch her entire narrative crumble. When a woman leaves, she's already mentally buried you. She's imagined you pathetic and alone. She's told herself and everyone else a story where she's the hero escaping a disappointing life. Your job isn't to correct that story with words. It's to shatter it with transformation. Every expectation she has about your post-divorce life needs to be wrong. Here's what actually triggers regret in an ex-wife. Seeing you become the man she always wanted you to be, but without her. The cruel irony that destroys her narrative. You had this potential all along, but her leaving is what activated it. She didn't leave a lesser man. She left a man who needed loss to become legendary. Reinvention as emotional power isn't about fake surface changes. It's about genuine metamorphosis that starts internally and radiates outward. When you transform not to get her back, but because you deserve better than who you were, that energy shift is palpable. She'll feel it from across a room, through mutual friends, via social media, that something fundamental has changed. The first step is changing your inner focus completely. Stop asking, how can I get her back? Start asking, how can I become someone I respect? Stop wondering what she's doing. Start building something that makes your life worth watching. The moment your focus shifts from her absence to your presence, everything changes. I counsel a man whose wife left him for a co-worker. He spent 3 months in therapy, hired a personal trainer, started a business he'd dreamed about for years, learned Spanish, travelled solo through South America. When he returned, he ran into her at a coffee shop. She literally didn't recognise him at first. When she did, her face went white. She saw what she'd lost, not who he was, but who he'd become. The law of emotional contrast states that attraction isn't about absolute value. It's about relative change. A man who goes from a 5 to an 8 creates more attraction than a man who stays at 9. Why? Because improvement triggers re-evaluation. Stagnation confirms decisions. When she sees dramatic positive change, her brain is forced to reconsider everything. She left expecting you to decline. Instead, you rise. She expected desperation. You display indifference. She expected you to need her. You demonstrate you never did. This contrast between expectation and reality creates cognitive dissonance that manifests as regret. Her brain cannot reconcile the man she left with the man you've become. Detachment creates desire through a simple mechanism. We want what moves away from us. When you chase, you confirm her decision. When you detach and thrive, you challenge it. Detachment isn't pretending you don't care. It's genuinely building a life so engaging that her absence becomes irrelevant. True detachment comes from genuine fulfillment elsewhere. New purposes, new passions, new people. Not replacements for her, upgrades to your entire existence. When your life becomes so full that you don't have space to miss her, she'll feel that energetic shift. The man who doesn't need her back is the only man she might want back. Restoring self-worth and authority after divorce isn't about affirmations or positive thinking. It's about evidence. Every promise kept to yourself, every goal achieved, every fear faced. You're not trying to convince yourself you have worth. You're proving it through action. And that proof radiates an authority that demands respect. The man who commanded respect in divorce court, who didn't beg or plead, who gave her what she wanted and walked away clean, who rebuilt without bitterness. That man embodies an authority that makes her question whether she was ever worthy of him, not the other way around. The role of image and presentation is deeper than vanity. Your external transformation forces internal reevaluation. New style communicates new man. Better physique suggests better discipline. Upgraded presence implies upgraded person. She needs to literally see a different man to psychologically process that you are a different man. This isn't about peacocking or trying to impress. It's about external congruence with internal change. If you've genuinely transformed inside but still look like the man she left, the message doesn't land. But when she sees you and thinks, "Who is that?" before recognizing you, that's when regret begins. Energy shift from suffering to creation is the ultimate power move. Every ounce of energy you would have spent mourning her loss gets channeled into building your gain. Join a boxing gym and channel anger into power. Start a project and channel sadness into creation. Build a business and channel frustration into innovation. Depression is energy without direction. Give it direction, and it becomes drive. The same emotional intensity that could destroy you can rebuild you stronger. But you have to choose construction over destruction. Every day you choose to build instead of break, you become someone worth regretting. Reclaiming control of the narrative means you stop being a character in her story and start being the author of yours. She wrote a story where you're the disappointment she escaped. Write a better story where you're the phoenix who needed fire to rise. Your story supersedes hers when your reality contradicts her fiction. Stop explaining your transformation to mutual friends, hoping it gets back to her. Let the transformation speak for itself. When people see you thriving, they naturally report back. You won't believe how good he looks. He seems happier than ever. I think the divorce was the best thing that happened to him. Here's the practical transformation protocol. Physical first, always. Hit the gym with vengeance. Not to look good for her, to feel powerful for you. Lose the divorce weight or depression gut. Build muscle that makes you stand differently. Physical transformation is the fastest way to signal total change. Next, upgrade everything she complained about. Not for her, but because she was probably right. Were you boring? Develop fascinating hobbies. Were you cheap? Learn financial abundance. Were you emotionally unavailable? Do the therapy work. Turn her criticisms into your curriculum. Professional elevation is crucial. The best revenge is massive success. Launch that business. Get that promotion. Write that book. Create something that didn't exist when she knew you. When she hears about your success through the grapevine, she'll realize she divorced you right before the harvest. Social expansion destroys her expectations. She expects you isolated and lonely. Instead, build a vibrant social life. New friends who know you as the upgraded version. New activities that make you interesting. New stories that have nothing to do with her. Become someone with options, not obligations. The emotional reversal through strength happens when she realizes the power dynamic has flipped. She left holding all the cards. Now you're not even playing the same game. You've transcended the entire framework. The man begging for reconciliation has been replaced by a man she might have to beg. This reversal isn't immediate. It happens in stages. First, she hears you're doing okay. Mild surprise. Then she hears you're doing well. Confusion. Then she sees you thriving. Discomfort. Then she realizes you're better without her. Regret. Then she recognizes what she lost. Devastation. The timeline matters. This isn't a 30-day transformation. Real change that triggers real regret takes months, maybe a year. She needs to see sustained evolution, not temporary improvement. The man who gets in shape for 3 months makes her roll her eyes. The man who becomes permanently better makes her question everything. Don't make the mistake of transforming publicly for her consumption. Transform privately for your evolution. The most powerful changes are the ones she discovers accidentally. Running into you somewhere unexpected. Seeing you with people she doesn't know. Discovering accomplishments you didn't advertise. The paradox of making her realize she lost the best man. You have to actually become the best man. Not the best for her, the best version of yourself. The man you should have been all along. The man the divorce freed you to become. When you genuinely become him, her regret becomes inevitable. Here's what she's thinking as she watches your transformation. This isn't the man I left. Did I cause this change? Could I have had this version? Was this potential always there? Did I give up too soon? What else did I misjudge? These questions torture her far more than any words you could say. The dating component is delicate but important. Don't rush into relationships to make her jealous, but when you do date better. Not younger necessarily, but higher quality. Women who represent upgrade, not replacement. When she sees you with someone who appears superior to her, the regret multiplies exponentially. But here's the key. You can't fake any of this. Fake transformation for her benefit is transparent and pathetic. Real transformation for your benefit is magnetic and powerful. She'll know the difference. Everyone will. Authenticity in your evolution is what makes it devastating to witness. The mental shift from scarcity to abundance changes everything. You're not trying to get back the one who left. You're becoming someone who attracts better than what left. This isn't about her anymore. It's about you deserving and expecting excellence. When she senses this shift, she'll realize she excluded herself from excellence. Don't send signals. Become undeniable. Don't tell her about your changes. Embody them. Don't try to trigger her regret. Focus on triggering your own pride. The most powerful message you can send is no message at all, just the evidence of a life that's exponentially better without her. The ultimate realization she needs to have: you weren't the problem, you were the prize. She didn't leave a failed man, she abandoned a future success. She didn't escape disappointment, she created her own. The best man she'll ever have isn't in her future, he's in her past, and she threw him away. Here's the psychology of why this works. People value what they lose more than what they have. She couldn't see your value when she had full access. Now, watching you thrive without her, your value becomes undeniable. Scarcity creates value. Your absence in her life while thriving in your own creates massive value. The friends and family component amplifies everything. When her own people start mentioning how good you look, how well you're doing, how happy you seem, that external validation confirms her internal fear. She made a mistake. The chorus of, "He seems like a different person," becomes her nightmare soundtrack. But here's the brutal truth. By the time you've genuinely transformed enough to trigger her regret, you probably won't want her back. The man who deserves her regret is also the man who's outgrown what she offers. This isn't about winning her back, it's about winning yourself back. The financial transformation can't be ignored. Money is energy, and energy is attractive. Build wealth not to buy her back, but to buy your freedom. When she realizes you're thriving financially without the burden of the marriage, she'll understand she didn't leave a provider. She left a potential empire builder. The spiritual and mental evolution is equally important. Therapy, meditation, reading, growth. Become emotionally intelligent in ways she always wished you were. Develop depth she didn't know you could achieve. When she realizes you've become emotionally evolved, she'll recognize she left right before the breakthrough. The social media component requires strategy. Don't block her, let her watch. But don't perform for her either. Post authentic moments of genuine joy, new experiences, growth evidence. Let her see the life she excluded herself from. The algorithm will ensure she sees it. Her curiosity will ensure she looks. The moment of realization usually comes when she's struggling in her new reality. Maybe the new relationship isn't what she expected. Maybe single life is harder than anticipated. Maybe the grass wasn't greener. That's when she'll check on you, expecting to find comfort in your mutual misery. Instead, she finds your magnificent transformation. When she reaches out, and she will, your response determines everything. Polite indifference, friendly, but bounded. You're not angry anymore, you're grateful. The divorce wasn't your destruction, it was your liberation. Thank her for the gift of freedom to become who you really are. The key indicators that she's realizing her loss: sudden contact after months of silence, asking mutual friends about you, showing up places you frequent, social media engagement after long absence. These aren't invitations to reconcile, they're evidence your transformation is working. But remember the ultimate goal. This isn't about her realizing she lost the best man, it's about you becoming him. Whether she realizes it or not becomes irrelevant when you've genuinely transformed. Her regret is just a byproduct of your resurrection. The deepest regret comes from recognizing potential that was always there. When she sees you living the life she thought was impossible with you, being the man she claimed you'd never become, achieving what she said you never would, that's when she truly understands the magnitude of her miscalculation. Don't wait for her recognition to validate your transformation. The man who needs his ex-wife's regret hasn't truly transformed. The man who's genuinely become the best version of himself couldn't care less about her opinion. That indifference to her validation is the final proof of your evolution. Let me tell you about the deeper psychology of regret formation. When she left, she created a mental model of your future, alone, struggling, desperate for her return. Every piece of evidence that contradicts this model creates psychological discomfort. The bigger the contradiction, the bigger the regret. Your job is to shatter every assumption she made about your post-divorce trajectory. The reinvention process has to be holistic. It's not enough to just get in shape or just make money. You need complete transformation across all dimensions. Physical fitness that shows discipline, financial success that shows capability, social magnetism that shows desirability, emotional maturity that shows growth, spiritual depth that shows wisdom. When all dimensions align, you become undeniable. Changing your inner focus requires daily practice. Every morning, ask yourself, what can I build today? Not, what would make her notice? But, what would make me proud? This shift from external validation to internal satisfaction is what creates authentic transformation. When you stop living for her reaction and start living for your own evolution, that's when you become truly powerful. The law of emotional contrast works because humans are wired to notice change more than status. A man who was a 10 and stays a 10 is less interesting than a man who goes from 6 to 8. She left you at one level and expects you to stay there or decline. When you elevate instead, it forces complete re-evaluation of her decision-making ability. Detachment isn't just emotional, it's practical. Change your routines completely. Shop at different stores, eat at different restaurants, take different routes, create a life that has no overlap with your shared past. When she realizes you've built an entire existence that doesn't reference her, the finality of her choice becomes clear. Restoring authority means making decisions without committee. You spent years considering her opinion on everything. Now, make choices solely based on your values and desires. Buy the motorcycle she said was dangerous. Take the trip she said was impractical. Make the investment she said was risky. Every independent decision reinforces your autonomy. Your image transformation should be dramatic but authentic. Don't just buy expensive clothes, develop actual style. Don't just lose weight, build an entirely different physique. Don't just get a haircut, change your entire grooming philosophy. The goal is for people to do double takes, to not recognize you immediately. That level of physical change forces psychological recalculation. The energy shift from suffering to creation needs specific outlets. Start that podcast about your expertise. Build that workshop in the garage, launch that online course, create that art you always talked about. When she sees you've channeled divorce pain into productive creation, she'll realize she was holding back a creator, not supporting one. Reclaiming your narrative means being strategic about information flow. Don't broadcast your transformation, let it be discovered. When people ask how you're doing, undersell it. Getting by, staying busy. Then let them discover through observation that you're actually thriving. The gap between your humble words and obvious success creates powerful cognitive dissonance. The emotional reversal accelerates when she realizes others want what she discarded. When your female co-workers suddenly show interest. When women at the gym start approaching. When you become desired by others, her monopoly mindset shatters. She thought she was upgrading, but the market is telling her she downgraded. Here's a critical detail about transformation timing. The 6-month mark is crucial. That's when she expects you to have given up on change and reverted to old patterns. If you're still evolving at 6 months, stronger at 9 months, unrecognizable at 12 months. That consistency of growth triggers deep psychological impact. She realizes this isn't a phase, it's permanent evolution. The professional elevation should be visible and undeniable. Update your LinkedIn with new certifications, promotions, achievements. Let her see through professional networks that you're ascending career-wise. When she realizes you're becoming successful without her support, it challenges her narrative that she was essential to your potential. Your new social circle should be deliberately upgraded. Not just new friends, but better quality humans, entrepreneurs, athletes, creators, leaders. When she realizes you're now surrounded by high-value people who only know the elevated version of you, she'll understand she's been excluded from an entirely superior existence. The psychological principle of loss aversion intensifies her regret. Humans feel losses twice as intensely as equivalent gains. She didn't just lose a husband, she lost the best version of that husband that never existed when she was there. The pain of losing something that became valuable after she left is exponentially worse than losing something that was always valuable. Don't underestimate the power of subtle victories she'll hear about. The Sparrow-thon you completed, the patent you filed, the charity you started, the book you published. Each achievement she learns about secondhand reinforces that you are capable of greatness, just not with her anchor holding you down. The ultimate mindfuck for her, realizing the divorce was the best thing that ever happened to you, when she understands that leaving you was the catalyst for your transformation, that her absence was the key to your presence, that her rejection was your resurrection. That's when the full weight of regret crushes her narrative completely. Remember, every day post-divorce is a choice between decay and development. Choose development relentlessly, not to prove anything to her, but to prove everything to yourself. When you become living proof that loss can create winners, not victims, you transcend the entire framework of the divorce narrative. The financial specifics matter deeply. Don't just earn more, build wealth systems, create passive income streams, develop investment portfolios. When she realizes you've built financial independence that will last generations, while she's still trading time for money, the economic reality of her choice becomes undeniable. Gentlemen, she left thinking she was moving towards something better. Let her discover through your transformation that she was moving away from the best she'll ever have. Not through words, not through convincing, but through becoming undeniably excellent without her. The final truth. By the time she fully realizes she lost the best man, you'll have become someone even better. Someone who doesn't need her regret. Someone who's grateful for the push to evolve. Someone who transformed disaster into triumph. That's the man she'll spend the rest of her life regretting she left. Your transformation is not about revenge. It's about revelation. Revealing the man you always could have been. Revealing the life you always could have lived. Revealing that her leaving wasn't your loss, it was your liberation. And that revelation will echo in her regret forever. I want to hear your transformation stories. Where are you in this journey? What changes have you made? What reactions have you noticed? Share below, not for validation, but for inspiration. Every man who rises from divorce raises the standard for all of us.